Hi everyone, my name's Eduardo. A short background on myself before we get started. I'm an Air Force veteran and I have a background in both private security and law enforcement. Today we're going to be talking about honeypots. I think honeypots are pretty interesting and they serve a cool purpose. So we'll be talking about what a honeypot is, how they work, what they're used for, and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. So what is a honeypot? A honeypot is essentially a trap. It's going to be an intentionally vulnerable system or service designed to attract attackers. These systems look real to an attacker, but are actually isolated or monitored. And the main goal of a honeypot is to detect, deflect, or to learn from cyber attacks by observing how attackers behave and their methods of attack on servers or these systems that are vulnerable. So what is the purpose of a honeypot? Honeypots serve several purposes. They can divert malicious traffic away from actual systems, and they can also provide early warning signs about new attacks and allow organizations to study the attack strategies of attackers and see what these attackers are trying to do to penetrate their systems. They can also help identify vulnerabilities in internal defenses, making them both a protective and research tool. So what are the different types of honeypots? There's actually going to be two major types of honeypots. One's going to be a production honeypot and the other one's going to be a research honeypot. Production honeypots are used in businesses alongside real systems to enhance security, while research honeypots are typically used by cybersecurity researchers or institutions to study hacker activity and behavior tactics. Typically, research honeypots are going to be more complex than production honeypots. So how does a honeypot work? Honeypots mimic real services such as web servers or databases to attract attackers. Once someone interacts with the honeypot, it logs every action taken during that interaction. This can include commands used, malware uploaded, and the IP addresses of the attackers or whoever is interacting with it. That data can then be analyzed and fed into a security information and event management system for alerts. So as far as the architecture of honeypots, there's going to be two common architectures. First, we're going to have low interaction honeypots, which simulate just a few services. These honeypots are low risk, but they provide very limited data. On the other hand, we would have high interaction honeypots, which are full operating systems. These honeypots offer deeper insights, but they also carry more risks since they can be exploited if they're not isolated properly. I wanted to share one real world example of honeypot usage. That example being the HoneyNet project. So basically, the HoneyNet project is a global nonprofit research organization that deploys honeypots all over the world. Their work has revealed some important trends in things such as malware, botnets, and hacking strategies. Another thing that they do is release open source tools for public use, which I think is really good. And they have stated multiple times that their main goal is to help improve internet security by tracking the behavior of hackers and their patterns, which is again one of the main purposes of a honeypot. Here I have a list of just a few of the benefits that you can get from using a honeypot. Again, they offer numerous benefits, such as they can help detect zero-day exploits, generate real-time threat intelligence, and they can help improve how fast an organization responds to incidents. One other benefit of using a honeypot for organizations is compared to other security tools, they're actually relatively cost effective and they provide a unique perspective into the behaviors of an attacker. So what are some of the risks and challenges when using honeypots, which there are both risk and challenges? Put down can be discovered by attackers. What I mean by that is if you're dealing with a sophisticated attacker and they're searching for a system to gain unauthorized access to, they come across a honeypot which is completely vulnerable if it's a sophisticated attacker, they're likely going to know that it's a honeypot and they're going to recognize it as a honeypot because it's so vulnerable. That's why it's important when creating a honeypot, you don't want to make it so vulnerable that it's obvious to attackers that it is a honeypot. Another risk is high interaction honeypots especially can be misused if they're not properly controlled. That's why they need to be monitored and separated from any real assets. And then honeypots, they're going to require active monitoring by whoever's setting up the honeypot or for whatever use. They always have to be monitored for any activity. So how do honeypots compare to other tools? For this, I've chosen to talk about firewalls and intrusion detection systems. And really, all these tools are going to serve a different purpose. Firewalls are used to block access, while intrusion detection systems detect known patterns. Honeypots, on the other hand, are going to attract attackers and log their activity in detail. Also, honeypots can catch techniques that other tools such as a firewall or in IDS may miss. Next, let's talk about some of the best practices to keep in mind when using honeypots. Some of these are going to be very, very important to keep in mind. I'll point those out when we come to them. I guess the first one that's very important is to place the honeypot in a DMZ, which is a demilitarized zone or a segmented part of your network. The second thing to keep in mind is to use logging and alerting tools such as Elk and Splunk. What these tools are going to help you do in hand with the honeypot is they're going to help you analyze the activity that's going on inside the honeypot from the attackers. You always want to keep the honeypot updated, just like with any other software. And another very important thing to keep in mind is to never store any real sensitive data inside of the honeypot. I would say the two most important things is to place the honeypot in a segmented part of the network and to never put any sensitive data on it. Here we're going to have several honeypot tools and technologies that are available. Cowrie and Kipple both simulate secure shell services. DINE is going to be great for capturing malware. HoneyD can emulate multiple operating systems. And then again, a honeypot combined with tools such as Elk, Splunk, or Snort, which I have listed here, they can become powerful intrusion analysis systems. So to wrap up, honeypots are incredibly valuable in both research and defense. That's why I think they're such a cool tool to use. They can allow organizations to observe attackers in action and understand their tactics and better protect their critical systems. When used properly, they can add a powerful layer to any cybersecurity strategy. But yeah, as far as that goes, that's all I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the presentation, and thank you for watching.